I could not be a Jungian. I'm sorry. I just cannot. I cannot. Some of my best friends are Jungians. Some of you may be Jungians, but I just cannot. I just cannot. I'm sorry. I cannot be a Jungian. One of the things that I've kind of learned over years, many years now, I have many years over which I could have learned, some of which I did learn. I'm sure there are a lot of years I didn't learn, is that if I have this kind of opportunity coming up where I'm going to be speaking or talking or preaching or whatever, it provides a wonderful opportunity for new ideas to come about. Like if I didn't have a thing coming up, I might not have a new idea. But when I do have things coming up, oftentimes it leads to new ideas. So I was going to be teaching at the Australian summer play, which was online. It was Friday and Saturday. And I just, a couple of days before, just a couple of days before the event, I was reading some stuff online from one of our leaders, and she was posing the question of, well, she was sort of saying, okay, when we're doing walking and stopping and running, we start by saying walk and stop and run and stop and rock and rock. And then we say, now you're going to do it on your own time. And in the instructions about the form, in the core elements, we talk about choices. That's a point where you get to make your own choices. And she was kind of wondering if we were really choosing. Is that really a choice? Are we choosing, or how are we choosing? Or you're just, she said, one of our leaders just says, follow your feet. And I'm sure that you can imagine that part of just, I'm not like thinking about it very hard. Okay, now I'm going to walk. Now I'm going to run. Now I'm going to stop. You just do it. And sometimes you're being affected by other people. Sometimes you're just, kind of following what your body wants, whatever. And sometimes you might actually be choosing, right? You might just decide, now I'm going to run. Now we know that we can move faster than we can think, because, like that thing we do where we ask people to make a shape with their hands, and then we say, make shapes faster than the speed of your mind. I can make shapes faster than I can think about the shapes that I'm making. So we know it's just kind of this possibility that there are all these things we can do that we don't really have to think about. But are we not thinking? Are we not choosing? Are we not knowing? This is why I can't be a Jungian, because there's all that stuff about the unconscious. And that term just drives me crazy. Because you think about it, there's conscious, and then there's all the other stuff that can only be defined in relationship to consciousness. How come we don't have our own word for all that other stuff? How come we have to define it in terms of the other word? As if, conscious, that's the best part. The unconscious, scary, undefined, bam, there's probably not very much. So I started talking about this to the Australians, my thoughts about this. And I was teaching 2 days. I taught a little bit on Friday, a little bit on Saturday. And on Friday, I started to try to talk, and then I realized I didn't really have quite the right words to describe that experience of, when you're making a kind of a choice, like a specific choice. And I usually go up here because it's kind of a focusing thing. This is sort of related to focus and easy focus, but it's a little bit different. But I, kind of think, oh, it's happening somewhere. I don't know where it's happening, really. What do I know about the brain and what's happening? What do I know? I barely know what my own. I barely know. So anyway, I was talking to them. It didn't quite have the right language, but I thought about it a little bit more, and I'm not sure I still have the right language. But I started talking about pinpoint decisions and all over decisions. So the idea is, sometimes we do kind of use that focus thing. We have a specific idea. I think, oh, right now I'm going to do this, I'm going to try that. But other times, like what we're doing is coming from all over. It's coming from all over our bodies. It's probably coming from, it could be coming from our environment, from the people in it. So that idea of it's a big thing, and we may not be able to kind of pinpoint either. Well, we may not be able to describe it. So we have pinpoint decisions and pinpoint and all over decisions. So like in walking and stopping and running, most of the time I'm probably making all over kinds of decisions, but sometimes I might make a pinpoint decision, and that's fun to be able to do both of those things. And then I started thinking, well, maybe we have pinpoint knowing and all over knowing. So what is that ability in our bodies that we can do this? And it's not muscle memory, because I've not, it's not like typing where you have muscle memory, which is another kind of all over knowing, I think. But just that ability to, I can behave faster than I can think. And here's the final idea, because there's the bell. Here's the final idea. This all over knowing territory is huge. And by playing, we get more access to it.